Oliver Sacks's Awakenings is my favorite of his many brilliant books. And I was particularly beguiled by an appendix in some of the editions, it's not even in all of the editions, called Parkinsonian Space and Time, in which he builds a bridge of empathy with his patients suffering from post-encephalitic syndrome and really enters their way of experiencing space and time. At the same time, while I was reading it, I developed a suspicion that Oliver himself must have taken psychedelics at some point, because it was not just the writing of an excellent clinical observer, but there was some kind of deep understanding of what a completely reinvented space and time sense could feel like experientially. And I just had a feeling that he must have taken psychedelics. Flash forward several years, I interview Oliver. I write an article about Oliver in Wired magazine called The Fully Immersive Mind of Oliver Sacks. I become Oliver's friend. We talk a lot. He writes me letters. And in the course of that friendship, I asked him if he had ever taken psychedelics. And yes, of course he had. And he'd smoked a lot of marijuana and taken all kinds of drugs, including methamphetamine, as he later confessed, both in his autobiography and also in the documentary that was made about him called Oliver Sacks, His Own Life. But in any case, he ended up writing an introduction to a book that I wrote called Neurotribes, The Legacy of Autism and the Future of Neurodiversity, for which I am incredibly grateful because it was one of the last things that he wrote. So he was an incredible writer with kinds of imagination and sympathy that enabled him to not just treat his patients, but to build meaningful emotional relationships with them. Bye.